Happy Monday, Dan. How are you, brother?
Houses and some art, little art creative things they had set up there. They basically spreading the message of community, love, bringing togetherness, and showing what we're thriving as Christians, loving God, and building a group of individuals. It was a wonderful time. It was an all-day venture, and people that I remember from last, meet some new friends, and even got to spend a couple of minutes with Simon and Otis and Andy, who were here last Wednesday and Friday, giving us a nice detailed description of what was going to be happening. So we had fun, great weekend. Look forward to jumping in our show today.
Yeah, Otis did a great job on the sound. Andy did an amazing job cultivating all the artists. I was really impressed with the artwork that was there. There was thousands of people that came. It's hard to know the exact, number that was there, but it was a ton. It was a ton of people. Malakye and Kent, you guys missed. You went camping. So
yeah, it was awesome. I'm so proud of
opposite
myself
of
for not
tech
getting
automation.
sunburnt.
But nice.
No, that doesn't usually happen, and it was quite aggressive UV. So a little pat on my back right there. I'm proud of myself.
First day was UV 11. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've never seen it above like 7.
I've definitely got burnt at lakes before. It's an easy thing to do. You get it coming down, you get it coming off the lake.
Mm-hmm. It was so fun though. I mean, we got to rent a boat and do tubing and surfing, which is just like wakeboarding. And that was so fun. I just kept thinking about how it's so amazing that us as humans in this time, and it hasn't been for very long, just like 50 years, that we've been able to do these just like extravagant random sports that we've been able to come up with. Like, oh, the boat makes this cool wake in the back. Okay, let's try and hop on a board and see if we can almost like surf it. And now that exists. Like, what a cool thing that just never existed for all of humanity, but we get to try. And there's so many things like that. I just feel so thankful that humanity has made these and that I get to live in the time that they exist.
You're a very fortunate young man.
It's true.
Malakye. Glad that you're able to appreciate that and realize all the gifts that you've got to explore and experience in this great Santa Cruz Bay Area community.
So special here.
We're going to be starting to talk about some philanthropy, giving, benevolence, where your heart's desire is, how we've left from the big corporation writing checks to, big companies, big organizations, United Ways, Salvation Armies, those type of places. And that's always great to give there. But it seems like with our new age of digital technology, where we're coming in today, it seems like community likes to do the small crowdfunding things, see where those $5 funds can go, beach cleanups. And so that's as far as philanthropics, I wish I knew a lot more about it, but just other than what I've been kind of reading and researching, hopefully one day I'll be able to be there, be able to give back to the community the way I really foresee, not just smiling and hugging and trying to help with your hands, but, actually maybe building another project or doing something for seniors and things like that. So,
well, being on the local radio is definitely being an emotional philanthropist.
For sure. This is a great place to spread the great news.
It's funny how the word philanthropy can frequently mean just money, but of course it's not just currency or like, your effort yourself, but it can be emotional as well, just like an encouragement kind of
I
thing.
think most nonprofits would like us just to focus on money.
Yeah, that's what they want us to, but of course that's not what it should be.
Yes and no, I wouldn't say that.
So, Ted, today we're talking about community and philanthropy, the impact that automation, specifically AI and Web3, is making upon it. So why don't you jump in, Ted? Give us a little insight. You're in this world. You're in the community world. You build community. You depend on donations. You help facilitate donations. So what do you see in the impact that's happening right now?
Well, it's exciting. And yeah, as you said, this is my jam. Saturday, I had a hoot because, Malakye was talking about new sports. Well, I'm glad, I guess a relatively new sport, basketball, was invented. That was fun. So we were playing basketball in prison, and that was just amazing. Yeah. So, and today I'm here at this organization in Oakland called CROP. It's creating restorative opportunities, and they are a reentry program. They have this beautiful house here in Oakland, and they run this house for the reentry population. These are guys on parole getting out of prison who are trying to reenter successfully into society. They also do a lot of advocacy, and they have, job training programs throughout. And they have a lot of job training happening down in LA area too. And, this is an innovation because it's run entirely by the formerly incarcerated. And they're doing a great job. Where I see automation and technology, mobilizing volunteers is excellent. In fact, many nonprofits, you don't have to have money to help support them, and volunteering helps a ton. Like our basketball program is extremely successful in helping guys. And, we've been going on for a while. The real key to growing it is more volunteers who like to play basketball and want to go inside a prison and do that. And the more that technology can facilitate that, facilitate volunteering, facilitate engagement, to me, it's every hands on deck. And if we want to really move the needle, we've got to get out of the mindset that it's, either the government or the specialists who are, the really do-gooders, or the philanthropists who have lots of money that are going to change things, and realize all of us have to get involved, and we can all make a significant impact in us together. So that's what gets me excited about technology, powering the crowd, empowering everybody.
And how about for you, Nigel? What's on your mind, my friend?
And I think it's where things intersect is the biggest piece. I think I heard someone say, whatever someone's willing to take from you for free, they're willing to pay for in some way. And I would say that, whether you're out here running a Fortune 500, digging ditches, curing cancer, we all have a unique promise of value that we were born with. It's just a matter of, finding that gift and, leaning into that purpose. And I feel like the better we tie our physical works and the things that we do good to, for the purposes of this conversation, to, the digital assets and the new technology to automate and amplify it, I think the better off we're going to be. I just think that it needs to be done in a super responsible, accountable way. It can't, if it's done one way, then it becomes exploitive in the wrong fashion. But I would love to see situations where, like the example I'd seen before was people getting credit for, serving Thanksgiving dinners. But also I would like to see people's voices be amplified by the good that they do. I think if you do more, your vote should count more, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, young fellas. Kenton, you're 12. Malakye, you're 16. How are you seeing the impact of automation upon community? Kenny, you're part of the football community. I think you're on your 11th or 12th team. For football, you're the quarterback. So the structure and the significance of how your community of football players is organized, not just your team, but all the other teams you compete against. How are you seeing AI play into that? Okay, you're about ready to go back to school. School's gonna be way different for you this year.
Yeah.
Your school community is gonna be, really based on a college structure rather than a traditional high school structure. So, what's your thought on that? Like, I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking in terms of, where things are at and how you see these technologies playing into stuff.
You can go first.
I mean, I'm just excited that, like I was talking the last time I was on here, that I feel like this current education system has been around for a while, and it seems like, especially with AI coming, that we are going to have the resources to be able to finally have a single teacher or educator or whatever you want to call it that AI is going to be for each learner, for each individual. And I'm just really excited that I'm kind of, in a way, getting to do that early because what I'm doing is I'm doing independent studies where I go and I get the work and then I just go and do it on my own time and then I bring it back the next week. And so I really only see my quote unquote teacher once a week. But then that's just for high school. And that's going to be so nice with AI. I feel like it'd be so much harder if I didn't have AI. And I'm not going to use it to like, oh, do this essay for me because I don't want to. Instead, it's like I don't really know how to effectively do this essay right now. Teach me and help me to do it. That's just someone teaching me. If that was a teacher, then that's a perfectly fine question to ask them. And I think it's going to be especially helpful in a setting like of what I'm doing because I'm on my own already and I'm just going to be doing the work myself. And so it's probably going to lean more towards that way in the way that education works in the future. And I'm just excited I get to try it early. I get the preview.
And how have you seen AI play into how your friends and stuff, because it's not just education where we're talking community philanthropy. How do you see AI playing into just the development of your friend group? On your text group messages, you guys sharing different prompts? Are you sharing different AIs you're using? Are you guys mostly into using a chat bot? And that's kind of something you all talk about, or you talk about text image, like look at what I just made on Midjourney or with ChatGPT's AI image creator, or now you're trying text to video stuff. How is it kind of permeating the development and connection of your community and your friendship group?
I'd say the AI really helps with making things so much easier. Like if you have a funny idea, like my friend Karsten, for example, he has a funny idea for a meme he wants to make and just make the group laugh. And so he just goes onto an AI thing and just makes it really quick. He just tells it his idea and it makes something hilarious. But that's so much easier now than it used to be. And so that's just one random example. Someone wants to make something funny, and so they go to AI to make it quickly. But previously, you have some funny idea, and it might be awesome, and it'd make people laugh, but you have to spend half an hour to an hour just to draw it all out or find the right stock image. Like, that's so much more difficult. And it's so nice that we now have AI to be able to help communities do things and be more creative. It's so much easier to let ourselves be creative because we don't have to commit a bunch of time to it. We can do something quickly and effectively.
How about you, for you, Kenny? How are you seeing automation play into the development of your community?
So for football, I'm doing tackle right now, and I just started, so I haven't really seen any AI into it as my league, like the people who are running my league. But me personally, yeah, I use AI for football all the time. I ask it, what can I do for training? And it'll give me like YouTube videos of what to do, find the best ones for me, stuff like that. AI can really help me with. And also my community with school, also that uses AI. Like last time or the time before last time I talked on this radio, I was talking about how my teachers and my friends sometimes even use like Google Gemini. A lot of my friends use Google Gemini to help with homework, which I'm not really sure if they're supposed to, but it's okay. But yeah, that's two of my communities that use AI.
Well, let me mention some local stories that are kind of interesting. There's a new AI-driven non-profit platform here in Santa Cruz, and this platform matches volunteers and donors with local needs. So whether you want to volunteer your time or you want to volunteer your money, whether you
That's actually really useful.
yeah, and so
I
it
was just thinking
uses
about that
data
earlier.
insights to increase the impact. So this platform is called Benevolent Voluntary, BENEVOLENTLY. So that was just picked up by the Golden Times. So I thought that was an interesting thing to mention because it's local. Another one is the Community Foundation in Santa Cruz County is deploying AI analytics to optimize almost $24 million in grants. And so these
useful.
Yeah, I mean, you think about $24 million just for the Santa Cruz Foundation. We obviously want the $24 million to go to the highest impact. And so using AI analytics to optimize those grants is a great thing to hear, being a local. And the last one I'll mention is Santa Cruz Works is using AI for community and trend analysis. So Santa Cruz Works brings together the community, mostly business. They do gatherings regularly, sometimes more often, like weekly, sometimes less often, seasonal. And so this is letting them do outreach to families, boosting engagement, and it seems as though it's impacting the ability, but their metric is 15%. So these are some positive trends that are just happening locally. So, Ted, you're not too far away. You're over the hill. And then, Nigel, obviously you're on the East Coast, but what are your guys' thoughts on some of these elements that are happening?
Everything that you mentioned is very exciting, and I'm hopeful for trends like that. To be honest, we need it because right now the whole philanthropy world is being shaken up. Federal funds are being redirected and cut back, which means state funds and everything are reacting to that. And I know all of my people in the space really challenging positions and trying to find out new streams of income, how they can survive. And so there's an opportunity to serve them, and grants that want to be more effective. I see there's a huge opportunity for people who want to be more effective. There's lots of innovation happening in the nonprofit space. So the people who are on the ground, like CROP is an innovation. We don't normally go to the incarcerated lived experience experts and say, design a program that would help and would help you meet all the needs that you needed. And it turns out that their program is very, very effective because of that. But they're kind of the exception. They're funded, and we'll see if they can, after their initial funding, if they can get refunded again. There's a big need there. There's a big need to figure out what is truly showing effectiveness in solving problems and not just subsidizing them. And then how do we fund those and grow those as opposed to just ones that aren't as effective, or many that are counter effective? So there's a big challenge and big opportunity.
Nigel, what's your take?
I think we have the best opportunity now to really dig into metrics with AI and using the capabilities and processing power to look at multiple scenarios, to do simulations on how things might play out if we don't actually know, and to challenge anything that's presented. It's kind of like the analogy I like to use. If someone says 9 out of 10 doctors recommend something, okay, well, how many doctors did you ask? Like that context matters. And with AI, you're going to be able to figure this stuff out. So things that may have gone under the radar for the longest time simply because people didn't have the ability, time, or effort to invest in it to figure it out, they now have. There's no excuse to doing it. The data and the ability to process the data is there. And I think once we do it, we'll again raise the level of conversation, and we'll put ourselves in a position to really start to take people to task and hold them accountable to the highest possible standards and deliver the greatest value, because it's not about how much you give as much as it is now about how far what you give will go.
And this is why people want data, right? They want to see, where does my money go? So in Monterey, it was just published by givingusa.org that Monterey's nonprofits have adopted AI for grant writing. This has cut admin time by 40%, and it's amplified the impact in rural family support services. So, Monterey is not just downtown where the aquarium's at. Monterey is a massive county that covers a ton of ground, and the ability for admin time to be reduced by 40% and then be able to better serve those that are often forgotten, I think is really
What does
important.
admin time mean?
Just anything with operations, just, the amount of
Routine
time.
tasks.
Yeah.
Reaching back out to customers or, something that's repetitive that they do on a daily basis. They'll start having AI tools, free human workers to focus on the people that they're serving better.
Yeah, I feel like the thing we've been talking a lot about today is that people really need to value, or at least do, their time, the ability to do stuff, and all that as a whole. And AI coming is making it so much easier for us to just use our creativity and to let AI do the more repetitive tasks and things like that, letting it do all the admin stuff that you don't really need a single person to do. And it's really nice to get to see that finally happening.
Another one that's in the news from AI Invest talks about California Blockchain Task Force. The state of California just launched a panel, Ripple, Coinbase, MoonPay folks. They're exploring blockchain for transparent nonprofit services, ID, and aid distribution. So the distributed ledger crypto blockchain world has gotten so far that now we can legitimately start using it to provide nonprofits with transparency to all of their donors. What's your thought about that, son? Ken, you are 12, and if you give money to anything, whether it's to help somebody have shelter or food or whatever it may be, what do you think about when you hear that California as an entire state has a new task force to ensure that nonprofits can show where the money's going to? What's on your mind?
It's a big thought. I don't know. You have to ask.
Well, you pointed to the microphone, so you want to say something. So what was on your mind earlier?
I pointed to turn it off.
Oh. Turn me off. I don't want the power. That does happen every once in a while here inside the radio station. People are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. The microphone's on. This is too much power for one man to handle. So, Dan, what do you think when you hear that Monterey has a big initiative with AI, California has a big initiative with crypto? This stuff is not going to happen one day. It's already happening right now. Do you see these things often? Or is it like when you hear these news things, when you read these new things, you're surprised still? Is it becoming kind of old news for you?
No, I hear them often. Yeah, I think it's on its way. I think that oversight's going to be the biggest issue that's going to win the day. The transparency and the right people in place who are overseeing whatever implementations are being put into our lives to help us. Monterey Bay is great. I see the police are actually using the AI tools to help them more on dispatching. I see our UCSC is starting a pilot program that's not accredited yet, but they're doing AI augmentation classes that are going to be certified, but I don't know if they're actually putting that into their curriculum. I also read that there's one of their PhD candidates for science is actually doing some work with CRISPR and the genome, figuring out our DNA. But we'll figure that out, and we'll be back.
We'll be back in just a moment. Thank you for joining us here at 1340 AM, KOMY, home of Schoolhouse Radio.
Healthy skin equals confidence. And I hear
All right, internet friends, I welcome you. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to go back live on the radio in about 3 minutes. So what we do every day is we start off at 11 a.m. or 11:05 to be specific. We usually talk about kind of what's happening in the news today. What's going on, the news of the day. We pick an industry. So today is community and philanthropy. Take a 4-minute break in the middle, and then we go back live for about 20 more minutes, and we'll talk about future vision. Like where could things go when it comes to things like community and philanthropy? how far can this be taken? At least in a couple months or a couple of years, if you play it out a couple of generations, what will humanity even look like? What will community even be like? What will philanthropy, what will money be like? I mean, how will we give money away? Will money be the same as it is today? And these are the big questions that we try to tackle. And so here I have two of my sons with me, Kenny at 12 and Malakye 16, my brother Dan, and then two others that are calling in regularly. And so we really enjoy doing this together. But of course, we are grateful to have an audience. So thank you for jumping in, for joining us. If you have questions, we're live streaming everywhere on at Ian Utile, IANUTILE. We should be live on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you go there and leave comments, I should see those comments pop up, and at least I can speak to that. If you have different things that you think we should consider, whether it's news of the day that's early on, or some sort of big vision, especially something that would be optimistic and hope-filled, we'd love to hear that from you. Right now, we basically just talk amongst ourselves, and oftentimes we're popping onto Grok, we're popping onto ChatGPT, asking, hey, look at the news of the day, or what's the most exciting vision that can be cast in this regard. And so that's a bit about kind of what we're thinking and how we see things. It's a little bit of a balance. I'm still trying to master kind of this whole thing of going live on the radio while live streaming. There's kind of two things going on at once. Today, I think there was a problem with the audio for the first couple of minutes, but fortunately we got that solved quite quickly. So Nigel and Ted, let me let you say hi to the internet while we got them. Gentlemen, you want to say
internet while we have you?
Hello. How are you?
Nigel, you're coming here. You'll be here on Saturday, so that'd be fun to have you here at the studio.
I will.
Weeks.
Live and direct.
It'd be great. And Ted, we only have you till Friday because you're going camping for a week. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah. So enjoy me this week because I'm a scarce resource, baby.
So scarce, so tall, and yet so scarce. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to throw my headphones on and we'll get ready to get going again.
Brought to you by education, awareness, and or get involved at setfundpay.org.
This is Ian Utile. Welcome to 1340 AM KOMY, home of Schoolhouse Radio here in Santa Cruz County. This is Beachside Tech Talk. I got four of us plus our producer. That makes five. We got a handful of people here at the radio station that was built in 1947. We love being a part of local community radio. We also have Ted coming in from the Silicon Valley, Nigel coming in from the East Coast. Actually, Nigel's flying here. We were just talking about that. That'll be fun to have you with us in the studio, my friend, for a couple of weeks. And today's topic is on philanthropy and community. You could see that as church. You could see it as family. You could see it as your friends. You could see it as anything you give money to, trying to help others, whether that's medical research or that's housing those that don't have homes, or feeding those that are hungry, or there's all sorts of ways and reasons for us to be generous. I think generosity is a very important part of humanity. And so I think any way that we can leverage these new tools, whether it's providing transparency through blockchain, or if it is, saving admin time, as we were talking about through AI, these are important things to do. So as we cast a vision, I often think of you, Ted, as kind of the voice for the nonprofits. And what is your vision, Ted, for where this goes, whether it's in 2 days, 2 years, or 200 years? How do you see this technology really being embraced, and how do you see the positive impact that will come from it?
To me, there's massive positive impact, and where I want to see this go is really a human flourishing that's for everyone. And I think everyone would agree with that that's the big vision we want to face. But also, we have to realize that the trajectory of the current or the previous generations of technology has not been that. You know, you look at Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley, I include the whole region, and the kind of the spirit, the innovative spirit. The 5-10 top largest companies in the world right now, which are the largest companies the world has ever seen. These are bigger than small nations. I think 9 out of 10 are technology companies that basically came out of Silicon Valley. Like Microsoft might be based up in might be based up in Seattle, but it's a Silicon Valley company. Okay, huge companies, incredible wealth that's been created. But during those same 3 decades, that wealth has not been distributed equally. The Bay Area many people don't know that in America, food insecurity, which is kind of a technical description for hunger. It means a family can't put 3 square meals a day on the table. They're insecure in that area. 1 out of 8 households in the U.S. are food insecure. This is in the U.S., a developed country. In the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, it's double the national average. It's 1 out of 4. Now we have prison recidivism is at 80%. We haven't solved that. That's getting worse. Incarceration is increasing. Human trafficking is increasing. If you look at any of these indicators of health for, indicators of poverty, they have increased, not decreased. So we're doing something wrong. And I feel this is the biggest, most important problem we can solve. If we can take this spirit of innovation that can solve any problem, that can create things out of nothing, and really focus it on the outcomes to create a human flourishing for everyone, that's what we need to do.
And what is your take, Nigel? What's your vision? How does this stuff get permeated throughout society this week, this month, especially as we get into this year, this decade, right, this century? I mean, how do we see these technologies being adopted for the good of humanity?
I think it's holding ourselves accountable first. Something that I just recently really focused in on is just how much energy we're using. And I mentioned it briefly on another one of our talks, but the amount of energy being used to run these tools is costing us money, and it's going to continue to cost us money. And I think from that perspective, we need to be very responsible in how we use it. And by that, it's not just not using it for frivolous things, also to make sure that what we build is perpetual. So I think that giving that creates an example that fosters paying the blessing forward beyond just the reciprocity of it. I think it's huge, because the greatest gifts we ever give are the ones we can't repay. They have to be paid forward. That was by the example of God, for those of us who believe. But I think it's something that's super important. And I think when we create that effect, it's something that echoes for an eternity. And I think that's important. And that should be a way we could look at this to do better.
I asked Grok and ChatGPT what their thoughts were in terms of casting a future vision within the next year. So Grok predicts that global crypto philanthropy will hit $1 billion within a year, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you continue to have Bitcoin at $120,000 plus, if that continues to go up, if Ethereum maintains almost a $4,000 fiat currency price tag, then a lot of these people that bought Ethereum at pennies brought Bitcoin at dollars. Certainly they have room to be generous, and so I can't imagine that being a reality. Another thing that ChatGPT said about what the future could hold for us when it comes to crypto stuff is community-led, decentralized, autonomous organization funds. So neighborhoods could launch decentralized autonomous organizations on their own. They could govern grant making for youth or for family projects. There's so much centralization around philanthropy right now. But what if the community that uses the dog park, if they spin up their own decentralized organization that ensures that all the things that matter to the community for that dog park happens, that all the funding that needs to happen to maintain the landscaping and improve it happens, and it's done through a decentralized method that's not dependent upon the county, not dependent upon the state or the federal government, but people are saying this is our dog park for our dogs, and we're going to take authority over this, and we're going to do this together. And I imagine that not just being a one-off thing, but in the near future, that being permeated across every single one of these kind of local community things. And I think it's very, very important.
I kind of want to talk about the different ideas about government in this way, because the current government system that we and basically all of the world has is a centralized system where not everybody wants to have to constantly spend time to decide what kind of laws we want. And so we say, okay, you can make that your job and you can go do that for us. And so are you kind of saying that you think it's going to go more towards a fully decentralized system where everybody in the community just has a big group chat or something and they all decide on the decentralized system what they're going to do at their dog park? Or do you think that it's kind of going to be more of like this is decentralized because of all the new technology we have, but we're still going to have one of our people living in our neighborhood decide what happens as a final decision?
Well, the point of a decentralized community is that it should reflect that community. So it shouldn't be what I think. It shouldn't be what Biden's admin thinks or Trump's admin thinks. It shouldn't be what the elected official from Santa Cruz County or the local Capitola city thinks. If it's a dog park in Capitola, as long as the community is not breaking any laws, if they can take authority and take control over what's happening in their own community by saying, we're going to self-fund this, we're going to have leadership in place in this structure. I mean, the whole point is that people can be creative. They can find their own ways of decentralizing authority and leveraging anonymity by developing an organization. So this has been done very well with finance. And now we're talking about how does this get done with housing associations? You know, some of the worst pain that middle-class people feel is they buy a home in a housing association, and the next thing you know, it's $200 a month, and it's $500 a month, and it's $1,000 a month, and then these new rules get added, and then all of a sudden you can't have this kind of flag in your front yard, and then you can't have this kind of car outside, and you got to have this kind of landscaping. And a lot of these people, they think to themselves, well, this is not what I bought a home for. I did not anticipate dealing with this. So if you can decentralize the power away from some sort of massive centralized institution that basically has these housing authority organizations across all these different places, and people are now in control, held accountable, trustworthiness is in place, I think that would be a wonderful thing. So this is kind of the thought around community. How do you leverage these tools for community? Another thing that I have, go ahead, Ted, please.
I was saying, I'm really excited about these, you know, because I think they have the possibility to really unlock, you know, like greater people engagement in our whole democracy. Like right now they're small, you know, the applications are countywide or citywide or even statewide, or, you know, we're talking about a community organization, you know, an HOA. But if we can figure that out and then scale it out, I see so much potential, because the people who are on the ground know what's going on and they make the best decisions. And if we can get better tools to hear from them, to understand them, get them engaged, that's what can save our democracy, I believe.
Do you think that AI can play into this by kind of being that head? Instead of us having an elected representative, we have a decentralized community that all of us want something in general for the dog park, but we kind of each tell the AI something, and that AI, quote unquote, can be our like elected representative. Do you think that would be something that happens?
Well, certainly when you play it out with enough time, yes. AI is likely going to augment, support, or completely take over certain positions in current centralized government institutions. Will AI agents be our senators and congressmen and congresswomen replacements, or will they be their assistants? I think part of that has to do with what the voters in our republic want. If the voters in our republic decide, hey, things are much better with humans in charge and having AI assist, that's what we're going to have. And if Europe decides, no, things are way better with having AI in charge and humans assist, vice versa, well, then that's the direction it's going to go. And as we watch these things play out, all these different communities will decide, okay, does this work for us? Because there are certain communities and certain nonprofit worlds that just the different culture. They work much, much different from one another. So I did ask about like a decade out. If you look 10 years out, I say to Grok and ChatGPT, what do you think? So ChatGPT says in 10 years, it imagines Web3 native giving circles for philanthropy. It says that donors will likely form global cooperative decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, that are transparent and allocate funds based on smart contract voting. So today, it is very challenging to get DAOs to work appropriately, any DAO, whether it's around a finance tool, whether it's around a community, whether it's around a small, mid, or large size group. Globally, I mean, it's like out of the question for global DAOs to work today. But in 10 years, ChatGPT has a very strong sense that that's a reality. I also asked about, hey, what do you think about the same type of thing, Grok, a decade out? So it says tokenized impact assets will let generations like your generation, Kenny, Malakye, your younger brother, Nathan, inherit digital legacies of giving, decentralizing wealth that might even heal global divides with AI curated, heart-centered collaboration. So let me lay this out. This building has been here since 1947, and all of the humans that poured their life into this local radio station for 80 years are, for the most part, forgotten. Many of the churches in Santa Cruz County and in Tampa, Florida, and in the Silicon Valley have been there for over 100 years. And the parents, grandparents, especially the great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents that built the building, funded the building, unless they have a plaque somewhere, there's no way to recognize. And so the children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they don't walk into a legacy. And so what Grok is talking about here is that you can actually tokenize the impact of a family. So it's not about your generation being given just wealth, finance that you can spend, but being given wealth of a legacy and saying, wow, my parents did this and I'm walking into that legacy. My grandparents, my great-grandparents did this. And a lot of this will be made possible through distributed ledgers and through AI. Nigel, you look like you're full of thought. You want to jump in and share anything, my friend?
Yes, I think that it's a double-edged sword. I think that walking into legacy can be absolutely awesome if it's applied properly. I also think it could be catastrophically horrible, depending on who's sitting on the other side of it. I think it's finding the right balance and keeping the human oversight into the process, because the facts on its own, the data and the technology will ferret it out. You will get a number, you'll get something that looks binary, regardless of what decision you make. I just think it's making sure we have the transparent information so that we can make an informed decision on whichever direction we go in. But I do like the idea that when you've poured into something over time, and the compound interest of time is just amazing. I think that serves at a minimum to open new and bigger opportunities to do bigger and better things and build on that legacy for sure.
What's your thought, Teddy?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, what a big fat yes you just gave.
YES.
Dad, I have a question. My question is, so me and Malakye on the way back from camping yesterday, we're looking at the best movies that were going to come out in 2026. And we saw some movies. And so I asked ChatGPT after we looked through all those great movies. And I asked ChatGPT, when is the new Miles Morales coming out? The third Miles Morales that all the artists went on strike because of AI and in 2024, and now they lost their jobs and stuff like that. I have a question. Dang it, I forgot my question.
Being live on radio or a live stream will do that to you, son.
I know.
That's true.
You're really leading up for it. Like everyone is hungry for that question. You got the whole audience craving your question.
Absolutely. No pressure.
Well, we'll come back to it. You just raise your hand if you think of it again.
Okay.
Brother Dan, you want to jump in? Any thoughts on future vision that could be cast of how this technology can be played out in a year, in a decade?
My best answer to that is we'll wait and see. So yeah, I think Santa Cruz has adopted the Web3 and blockchain a little bit. I know that there's Santa Cruz is already in the game. The Santa Cruz Mountain Trails Stewardship has created a platform that will accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, and over a dozen other tokens. That's something that I think, which is having to do with philanthropy in our local area. I think that's a great thing for someone can get involved with. If you are a local hiker and you do the Nicene marks to the Castle Rock up on top of Highway 9 in Saratoga there. So I think those are great places that can do wonderful hikes. And then the Los Pinos, what is the big one right down there in Monterey, right as you go out to Big Sur, that's super popular right off the highway. So those type of things are becoming online demonstrators as to how you can donate through cryptocurrency. And not only that, anyone who is in the cryptocurrency game will realize that your donations using these cryptos and this blockchain still to this day, and hasn't been changed yet, but I'm sure as we go through time, these things will change. But it is a capital gains issue for you that you, as you donate through blockchain and crypto, capital gains are not taxed on you at that point in time. So that's another avenue that the younger generation is starting to look into, donating their charitable causes to, again, like the local trailways, the hiking spots, our local beaches, and just a great thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you remember your question, Kenny?
Yeah, I do. So my question was, those artists who went on strike, do you think that in 10 years after what Grok was saying and stuff like that, and 10 years after AI becomes bigger and maybe takes a lot of jobs, do you think that those artists who just lost those jobs on strike have to use AI to make money again?
What do you think, Teddy, as we wrap up?
Yes, I think they'll have to use AI, but I think they'll show that they can use AI very well, and their artistic gift is going to show its value. And they're going to be under high demand.
Creative.
They'll have to use AI.
Yeah. A thought I've had this entire time to close it out is that the future is looking amazing. I think we can all agree on that. AI is going to be very, very useful. And in some ways, it's like, whoa, we're not really going to have anything to do. And like, what's our purpose? And I think that we're going to find our purpose in our humanness, our creativity, the things that we do as community, giving our time and resources, not even really our money, because that's kind of just a figure of value of resources, but more going to be giving ourselves. And I'm just really excited to see that AI and automation and all the stuff that's coming is going to make it so our real purpose as human beings can finally show and flourish.
Very inspiring way to end. Thank you for joining us here at 1340 AM, KOMY, home of Schoolhouse Radio for Beachside Tech Talk. We'll be back again in 23 hours. Have a great day.